Hello ladies, this is Ron from Above and Beyond Creative Sewing. I'm excited to be invited to the sew a second time. I'm sorry I'm not able to be here live. I know that'll hurt on the question part, but I think you'll be able to understand what I'm trying to get across today. So I want to talk about sewing machine maintenance. Basically what to do on the more modern machines. On the old machines you could pretty much squirt oil on all of it and it would drip down. It's not a big deal. But on the newer machines you can actually do some damage. So I want to go over what you should do, what you shouldn't do. On the older machines though, on any machine, don't ever oil the motor. I know you feel you can get right by the pulley there and oil. Don't do that, because that oil will get into the brushes on the motor and it causes motor damage. If you get an older machine that runs real slow, it's probably because somebody was oiling it during its life. You're better off just leaving it alone. Bring it in to us where we'll do it professionally. We'll take it apart and get the oil in the right spots. So I'm going to show you a serger, two different kinds of sewing machines, and a long arm, and the maintenance that you should be doing on them. So we're going to start with this serger, and most sergers you can't get apart. So they do have some metal parts though. So you can oil in here. You see this? This is the upper looper. And this shaft here on all sergers is going to go up and down like that across that metal bushing. So a drop of oil there would never hurt. And on any of these machines that we're talking about, if you ever wanted to, you could put a drop of oil on the needle bar. But that is something that generally doesn't need to be done. You should have your machine serviced every year at the dealership, and when we do that, we take it apart and we get all the oil in the right places. So generally with a serger, I'm only going to tell you to do here, but if you really wanted to, you could do up on the needle bar too. You probably won't do any damage. And that's about it. Make sure you change your needles every 8 hours, and then once a year bring your machine in and have it serviced. Now, on a serger you do have knives, and the knives will wear out. Typically most sergers have a soft blade and a hard blade. So if you look at this serger, it's got a two-tone right there. That's the hardened steel and that's the regular steel. This is a single color. There's no two-tone. So this is the soft blade. Most sergers will come with the soft blade, a spare one, because they expect you to change it. The bottom blade generally doesn't get changed. It goes 2 or 3 times to one top blade because it's a special hardened metal that you don't have to replace. You only replace the one blade. If you bring in your machine for service and you bring the spare blade that came with the machine, we're happy to use that one to replace it if it needs it. You'll know it needs to be replaced if you take a piece of fabric and bring your knife all the way up, put a piece of fabric there, and just come down. Notice I'm not anywhere near the needles. And when it comes down, it should make a nice clean cut. See that? Just like a scissor. That's a proper knife. If it looks like it bends down a little, or if it's a little raggedy, what's going to happen is sometimes it'll cut and sometimes it won't, and then as you're serging it'll bunch and get jammed. So you want to have a nice clean knife. If you want to change the knife yourself, you generally just remove the screw here, put the knife in, but you have to set the height, the up and down distance. We're happy to do it as part of a service. There's no additional charge if you're having the machine serviced. But you can replace the knife yourself. That's why they give you a spare one. So that's sergers. Now I'm going to show you a sewing machine. I'm going to show you 2 sewing machines with different types of hook systems. So the first one is a Bernat. I chose that because it has a drop-in bobbin case. What that means is you drop the bobbin in the top, right? I'm sure you're all familiar with that. You're all sewers. So let's just get that out. So you would pull your bobbin out. Now I want to clean in here with a dust brush. But what I like to do is take it all the way apart. Now some machines you can remove part, and some of them you have to actually use a screwdriver. In this one we have to use a screwdriver. So I'm going to remove the screws that are here. So once you get them loose, the easiest way to do it is with your finger, just like that. And I pre-loosen these before the video, so they're really not so tight. Yours will probably be tighter. So we unscrew them. Yoo-hoo. That one doesn't want to come. I'm going to have to use a screwdriver a little more. So we get them unscrewed. And I notice I unscrewed them and immediately removed the screws, because the next thing that happens is people drop the screws in here and then they can't get them out, and then you do have to come in for service. You can't run the machine with the screw in it. On this one I'm just going to lift that up. I could obviously brush out the bottom here, and I would brush out in here, and I can remove my bobbin case. So the bobbin case is going to lift up usually from the part that's closest to you. So I sort of angled it up, and then I can lift it out, and then you can brush out in here. I do not recommend canned air. This is all enclosed. So if you blow air here, this is going to look beautiful, but you pushed all that dirt back here, which maybe there's a sensor, maybe there's a motor for the feed dogs, maybe there's something else that you're getting all kind of clogged up. So do not use canned air. You can use a vacuum cleaner. Some people will use those little micro vacuum attachments and you can vacuum it, but a dust brush really is good enough. You should have the machine serviced every year, and during that time we do a better job. You just want to get the big chunks out. I like to leave a little bit of dust coating in here. You know why? This machine has oil on it, and the oil got attracted to that dust, so that the dust keeps the oil and keeps relubricating the machine. If you take like Windex and you like really polish and clean this, it'll look beautiful, but you've taken all the lubrication off, which is not really good for the machine. Then I might put, depending on the machine, I might put a drop of oil. Some of the Berninas have some red spots to oil. Most machines do not have a place to oil. I might oil right here because this piece spins and there's a center bushing. On this one there's a little wick there. I can get a half a drop of oil on. And I might put a half a drop of oil right here, a half a drop. And you do not have to put oil here at all. It will make the machine quieter, but it does absolutely nothing for the longevity of the machine. So don't worry about that so much. Then you take your bobbin case and you put it in kind of tilted like that. I'm just going to switch hands there and get it to drop in. Now, what's most important is that the little stopper here and the little stopper there touch each other. Many machines, you can get the bobbin case in at an angle and it will work. It'll close, but it won't sew at all. So you want to make sure that you get it in so that the stoppers are against each other and they're perfectly lined up. And then we're going to put the needle plate back on, and then we're going to take a short break, and I'll be back with you in just a few moments to go over some more ways. Hello, ladies from the sew. Thank you for joining me again. I'm sorry we had to take a break, but it's a busy day here at the store. So let's move on to a Bernina 335. This is a different kind of bobbin case. So if you have this type of machine, you would need to open up in here, and you can pull out your bobbin case, but that whole inside there will come out. Now on a lot of machines there's two little clicks you can click down over here. On the Bernina there's just one, so I'll click that. That door comes down and then this comes out. This piece is called the hook. Now these actually do need to be oiled. Unlike the other machine where I said you could oil it to make it quieter, this one you have to oil it to make it work properly. So you're going to want to oil it right along here, this flat edge here. See how it's all oily now? That's good because that rides in this groove and I want those two pieces of metal to be lubricated. And if you look at it, this is sort of like a backward C, and there's a C in here, and you want to make an O out of the two of them. So you just kind of line that up. So if yours ever falls out at home, if you just make an O out of it, you should be okay. And then you'll close your door. And on this one, I'm just going to click it in. On some of them, when you push it up, you have to put the two little clicks back. And then, of course, you're going to remove your needle plate on this type of machine also. You would brush out in here, get it all nice and clean. And again, do not use canned air. Do not blow in the machine. If you blow in the machine, not only are you going to blow dirt back where it wouldn't get on its own, but there's moisture in your breath, so we don't want to obviously add moisture there also. So machines that are like this that are more modern, you don't really take apart an oil. They have these special bearings called sinter bearings, and the way they work is as the machine goes on and rotates, it heats up the bearings and they bleed. They bleed oil, which then lubricates itself. Then when you turn the machine off and it cools down, it sucks that oil back up into the bearing, ready for the next time. So what that means for you is that even if you're not using your machine, you have to have it serviced once a year. If you're not using it, the level of oil in those bearings will sink down due to gravity. So the whole top of the bearing will be completely dry. So you need to have that replenished, and that's what we do in a service that you can't do at home. We don't use regular oil, we use a special oil that those bearings could absorb and then bleed out and back and forth again. So that's good to know on these. And the internal parts there you can't get to. These don't open anymore on most machines. So we get in there and we remove any threads that might have broken and gotten tangled in there. Dust and lint. There's always a lot of dust and lint. So that the only thing you need to worry about is keeping this area clean. And if you have one of these front loading bobbins, you want to oil the hook area in the bobbin case. The last thing I'm going to show you is a long arm machine. The long arm machine that I'm going to show you has a rotary bobbin, which is the next type of bobbin system. So we can kill two birds with one stone. Most machines do not use a rotary bobbin system except for commercial machines like this. But if you have one, you do need to oil it the same way that you needed to oil the machine that we just showed you. Only you oil it a little bit in a different spot. You remove the bobbin case. Let's see if we can get a shot in from here. you want to put a half a drop right there. This piece here moves, and the center piece does not move. You see that? So you want to lubricate between those two pieces of metal. That's all you have to worry about. Again, internally on most machines you're not going to be able to do anything really, but this particular machine is a Bernina long arm. Has some parts here with these bronze bushings, and you can oil those, and you can oil the needle bar. I'll just bring the needle bar down a little bit. Ooh, it's got to be cleaned. You could oil the needle bar there to keep that nice and lubricated. But that's all you would have to do. If you have a long arm machine, you'll want to check the specifications of that long arm, but most of them you need to oil the hook every 8 hours, and the needle bar you should oil when you oil the hook, and there may be other spots. On this one there are not, because Bernina uses roller bearings. So the way that works is, it's like on your car. Your front tires of your car spin all the time. They can spin forever. They never stop spinning. There's little ball bearings within these little metal bands, and they can just roll forever, and that's what this has. It's a commercial system, and it lets it run really, really high speed without any kind of wear and tear, so it can run forever and ever. That's really the idea behind these types of machines. Now, on these machines, you can use canned air. Here's why. I'm just going to remove the needle plate. Notice, because it's a long arm machine, it's all free motion. There's no feed dogs, right? And we'll need to clean that out, obviously. So there's no feed dogs in there, so there's nothing that the lint is going to really get caught on. And there's a back wall here, because there's no linkages that go to the back. So you could just take a canned air and you could blow from here, it'll blow right out the bottom, and then you can just put your cover back on and you're all ready to go. You can just brush it or vacuum it just like the other machines, but this is the exception where you can blow it out if you want to. Okay, so that's my little primer on servicing and maintaining machines. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any specific questions on your machine, either email me, ron@creativesewingshops.com, or you can just call the store anytime, and any of us be happy to help you. Thanks very much. Enjoy your meeting, and thank you for your time.